Okay, we are in a race against time because camera's battery's dying. Cool. So, hello. My name is Tristan. This is L-Space Books. Welcome to the channel if you're new. Welcome back if you're returning. I have a tag video for you today. One of the large backlog of tags that I have yet to get to. Here's hoping that I can start knocking them out week by week, because they are fun, and they're a fun way to engage not only with the community, but also just an original way to engage with books, and I think it's fun. So this is an original tag by Gavin at Genre Books called the Tag de France, and it's based heavily on the Tour de France, the cycling competition, as well as inspired by the French Olympics, because this is a tag for 2024, doing it in 2025 though. And yeah, inspired very much by the Paris Olympics, which I unfortunately did not get to watch very many of, which is a bit of a shame, but c'est la vie, as you would say. So, the first one is Le Grand Départ, which is the Great Beginning. And I chose Prophet Song because this is a memorable preface or opening line. And I think Prophet Song is just, the opening line is so good. And it's so fitting for what's to come and what the whole book is about. And it's a very haunting and appropriate line. And it's not even the first line. It's just like, I guess it is literally the first line of text, but it's not even the first sentence. It's just the first part of the sentence, and it is, "The night has come and she has not heard the knocking." And for those of you that have read Prophet Song, that is such a powerful and appropriate and haunting line that I had to pick that one because it's just too good. Next is Maillot Vert, which is like a green suit, and this is a book under 150 pages. And I chose Minor Detail by Adania Shibli. This is a fantastic, very devastating book about a Palestinian woman who finds this minor detail of history and then goes on a sort of quest of her own to discover more about it. And it's a dual narrative. It's part of it is about the actual person within the minor detail, and then the woman journalist who is investigating it. And it's a tight story. It does leave you a little wanting for a little bit more, but it reminds me very much of like 20th century French literature, like Camus, where a lot of the stories are very allegorical, and that certainly felt that way with this. Next, King of the Mountains, a book that you persevered with and are glad you did. This is going to be a bit of a sentimental one, and that is L'Assommoir by Émile Zola, and I believe a lot of times when this is translated, it's either translated as just like they keep the name The Assommoir, which is the name of a bar in the story, but it could also be, they sometimes also translate it as The Drinking Den, which there's actually not a perfect translation of assommoir, because assommer means to like beat down. It also means to get drunk. There's just like a lot of things in it. Kitty shenanigans, here they come. So the reason why this is one that I persevered in. This was the first 19th century French novel that I ever read. And this is one of the books that sort of ignited my interest in studying French literature. And the fact that after I had taken like a 5-year hiatus of not speaking or studying French between my undergrad and when I decided to go to grad school and like started to prepare for grad school. And I read this after 5 years of not being in school, and the fact that I could read it was not only inspiring and invigorating, but also encouraging that I could actually, cats are playing, that I could actually do this. And this does take place in Paris, and also Gavin says that you do get extra points if your books are in French. This one is. And so yeah, it was one that I persevered with because I had some difficulty. It's a fairly long book. It's nearly 500 pages, and to basically going from reading no French to reading almost 500 pages of French that is like 200 years old was that was a substantial challenge. And so yeah. Nevertheless, I love this book. I studied Émile Zola as part of my master's degree. I studied this book specifically. Like, I went on to do a full study of this book. And yeah, it's a bit of a sentimental one, and I'm very glad that I did persevere with it because it did kind of lead to me getting my master's degree. So, kind of have to be glad about that. Okay, next. So that was King of the Mountains. Number 4 is Maillot Jaune, or like green suit, green jersey, whatever. And that is one where yellow features prominently, and that is going to be The Parisian by Isabella Hamad. It's just because the cover is yellow. Yellow is not really something that like is prominent within the text of the book, but it's a very, very yellow book. And it's The Parisian. It takes place primarily in France. It's also a great book. It's very like 19th century style of things, and yeah, I love it. Even though it takes place in the 20th century, should specify that. But anyway, it's a great book. Now, next is number 5, which is Lanterne, Rouge, and that is a book you were late to, so it means red light. And this is not a book I was late to, but a book that I am late to. We're just going to change the tense of the verb there, and that is James by Percival Everett. I still haven't read it. I'm going to read it, I promise. Yeah, I'm just late to the game on this one. I really, really need to read it. I really want to read it. But I think it's going to be one of my book club picks for like next month. We haven't fully decided, but it's in the works. So soon. Next, hors catégorie, which means outside of the category, or I'm really bad at translating on the spot, especially things like this. But anyway, what's the hardest book that you've read or failed to read? And that is also going to be the one. It's going to be one where I change the tense. What is the hardest book, or what is the hardest book I have ever read? It's the book I am currently reading, which is Marcel Proust's Swan's Way, from the In Search of Lost Time, à la recherche du temps perdu de Marcel Proust. And yes, this is a very difficult book. It's well worth the effort, and it is a process and experience that I'm very much enjoying, but it is difficult. So I haven't failed at reading it yet. Although I did try to read it in French at one time, and I did fail that miserably, so I'm reading it in English now. And it's good. I like it. Next. Prompt number 7. Numéro 7. And that is Endurance. What is my favorite series? Well, I don't think anybody is going to be very surprised to see that I'm mentioning Discworld. Because what's a video on this channel that doesn't mention Discworld? So Discworld is my favorite series, just hands down. I could also mention The Locked Tomb by Tamsin Muir, but I think that Discworld is the one that just has my heart. And specifically also the Witches sub-series within the Discworld, where you follow Granny Weatherwax, Nanny Ogg, and Magret Garlic through their adventures and misadventures and shenanigans through their various storylines through the Discworld is just so good. Granny Weatherwax and Nanny Ogg are the comedic pairing of those two is genius, and they are so funny. Like one of my favorite moments in the entire series is in Lords and Ladies when Nanny Ogg has to take a bath, and if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about, and it is so goddamn funny that I think about it every so often, and it makes me laugh every time. So good. So good. And yes, it's also like a fun, he plays with gender and things like that, and I think that he does a really good job with that. Numéro 8, number 8. We're going to go to Les Champs-Élysées, and this is your favorite Paris novel, and that is going to return us to Émile Zola, and that is going to be Au Bonheur des Dames, The Lady's Paradise. I've done a full review of this particular book. It was like my first actual in-depth review that I've ever done on this channel, and honestly, I really should do more full reviews. But anyway, this is a great book. It's all about kind of a big department store, one of the first department stores of 19th century Paris. It takes place in it basically takes place in just like a single street within Paris. You don't get a lot of Paris, like views of Paris, but you get a lot of like Parisian culture at the time, and just some stunning language and images that stick with you quite strongly, and I love this book a lot. It's another one that I studied in grad school. Okay, last but not least is number 9, and this is Lance Armstrong. Have you ever cheated to get to the finish quicker? Yes. Yes, I have. And that is going to be The House on Via Gemito by Domenico Starnone. And yeah, I sort of count this a little bit as a DNF because I just couldn't stand it. I really gave it a strong effort. I got to about page 260 something. And this is how long is this? It's too long. It's 449 pages, and basically it was just the same old repetitive stuff that kept coming back, and nothing was developing, nothing was happening. It was just kind of the same old mud that we were trudging through, and it was that for the entire novel. And so I cheated. I went to the last chapter to see if anything improved. It didn't. The page 425 was the same as page 263, and that's when I decided to call it quits. I read the last 5 pages of the book, and I said, you know what? That's all I need. I'm done. It was nothing happens, and I mean it's about this fabulous father who is just kind of like a pseudo narcissist, a bit of a megalomaniac, and it's about the son sort of living within his shadow. It's a lot of things that just don't work for me in this book. There's a lot of contradictions and just like, I don't know. I really did not enjoy it. It was also, the writing was pretty boring. It's potentially just a factor of its translation. I don't know. But yeah, I cheated to finish this one because I just couldn't get through it. I was not going to waste my time on the rest of it. So yeah, that's that on that. And then the last one is L'équipe, the team. So tag more people on the BookTube team to do this tag, and you will see my taggies down below in the description box. Thank you very much for watching. I'm very surprised that the camera didn't die because it's on low battery right now, but I guess Mercury must not be in retrograde. Yes, thank you very much for watching. I will see you again very soon in another video, and until then, take care. Bye.